DEA approves synthetic weed for Pharmaco. That paid $500,000 to keep real pot illegal. After it waged a veritable war against cannabis legalization in Arizona, coughing up $500,000 for the campaign, INZES Therapeutics recently announced the ultimate victory has finally come to fruition. The DEA approved one of the company's groundbreaking pharmaceutical synthetic marijuana to be listed as a Schedule II substance. INZES gave $500,000 last summer to Arizonans for responsible drug policy, the group opposing marijuana legalization in Arizona, The Washington Post reported. The donation amounted to roughly 10% of all money raised by the group in an ultimately successful campaign against legalization. INZES was the only pharmaceutical company known to be giving money to oppose legalization last year, according to a Washington Post analysis of campaign finance records. That flood of cash from the pharmaceutical company with a vested interest in killing legalization probably did just that. Now, the equally profit-motivated government has bestowed on INZES Therapeutics what is tantamount to skirting federal cannabis prohibition, despite that synthetic syndrose contains the equivalent ingredient, THC, nature provided in the first place. This coordinated effort between a profiteering, private entity and the U.S. government to not only crush, but scoff at personal liberties sounds a quiet but resounding alarm for America's legal cannabis industry. The fact the cannabis plant, itself still languishes as a supposedly dangerous Schedule I substance, while Big Pharma can profit from its imitation, did not occur by happenstance. In fact, INZES history should have flatly nullified this government-granted windfall. Syndrose garnered approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last summer for the treatment of the nausea, vomiting, and weight loss suffered by AIDS and cancer patients. Now, INZES has received the green light from the Drug Enforcement Agency, which categorized the synthetic substance and its generic formulations as Schedule II, a classification placing it alongside substances from cocaine and methamphetamines, to Adderall, OxyContin, and even methadone. Cannabis remains on the D's hit list of Schedule I dangerous substances the state vilipends as devoid of redeeming medical value, on par with heroin, LSD, ecstasy, and peyote, largely due to pressure from, if not surreptitious coordination with, Big Pharma. INZES' stupefyingly brash endeavor to crush cannabis legalization while attempting approval of a fabricated concoction that mimics the vilified plant must be the most astonishingly pretentious example of callous corporate profiteering in years. Indeed, this loathsome hypocrisy has not escaped the cannabis advocacy microscope. It appears they are trying to kill a non-pharmaceutical market for marijuana in order to line their own pockets. J.P. Holyoake, chairman of the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol in Arizona, asserted last year. Even a cursory examination of INZES Therapeutics' anti-pot propaganda, imbued with all the patronizing semantics characteristic of an industry too experienced in cozying up to the U.S. government, belies the inanity in Big Pharma's naked profiteering. In short, it doesn't matter to INZES and the federal government that scores of patients suffering a startlingly wide spectrum of ailments find relief from a plant, cannabis, in its natural state. Together with loosening laws nationwide cannot profit INZES. But a fabricated version of the plant and its oh-so-helpful categorization as less dangerous than what nature managed to produce can. During its shameless anti-pot campaign, INZES bloviated of legalization. It fails to protect the safety of Arizona's citizens, and particularly its children. Perhaps targeting the heartstrings of family members whose loved ones use cannabis to treat childhood epilepsy and seizures, cancer, post-traumatic stress disorder, Crohn's disease, addiction, depression, ADHD, or one of myriad other conditions, INZES stained itself a shield between customers and the villain plant, adding it firmly believes in the potential clinical benefits of cannabinoids, and we hope that patients will have the opportunity to benefit from these potential products once clinical trials demonstrate their safe and effective use. That socially awkward attempt to seem compassionate fools no one and hasn't yet, considering INZES Therapeutics began seeking the boundless profits of synthesized cannabis more than a decade ago. INZES predicted current staggering support for the medical and recreational use of cannabis years ago, as the company postured on the need to maintain the non-synthetic plant's Schedule I status in a 2011 letter to the DEA, noting the long-standing policy of the United States to disfavor domestic cultivation of narcotic raw materials because of concerns about the abuse potential from farming of this material. Image, http://pixel.watch/QT7. But evidence the pharmaceutical company's hostility toward the cannabis plant pertained to profit deprived it, in actuality, came years earlier. INZI's own words from nearly a decade ago substantiate fully the financial motivation. As state-run RT pointed out, a disclosure filed by INZI's on August 17, 2007, with the Securities and Exchange Commission proves beyond a doubt the profit-robbing factor would motivate killing legalization 10 years later. Foregoing pretense, INZI's asserted, if marijuana or non-synthetic cannabinoids were legalized in the United States, the market for dronabinol syndrose product sales would likely be significantly reduced and our ability to generate revenue and our business prospects would be materially adversely affected. Of course, given INZI's therapeutics penchant for flying fast and loose with the law when profits are at stake aligns perfectly with the company's insultingly hypocritical, patently fictitious moralizing on public health concerns. INZI's is now under investigation for off-brand marketing of fentanyl, an opioid painkiller 50 times stronger than Schedule I listed heroin, and one of the most addictive substances available. A route pharmaceutical companies take when a drug is either found efficacious in treating an additional condition, or when sales for the approved purpose slump. Worse, and lending further credence to the company's profit no matter the cost modus operandi, several INZI's executives were just arrested in December for conspiring to pay off healthcare workers to recklessly prescribe the medication even when the dangerous opioid wasn't needed. Several pharmaceutical executives and managers, formerly employed by INZI's Therapeutics, Inc., were arrested today on charges that they led a nationwide conspiracy to bribe medical practitioners to unnecessarily prescribe a fentanyl-based pain medication and defraud healthcare insurers, wrote the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts in an announcement on December 8, 2016. As alleged, top executives of INZI's Therapeutics, Inc. paid kickbacks and committed fraud to sell a highly potent and addictive opioid that can lead to abuse and life-threatening respiratory depression, stated Harold H. Shaw, special agent in charge of the Boston Field Division of the FBI, after the arrests. In doing so, they contributed to the growing opioid epidemic and placed profit before patient safety. These indictments reflect the steadfast commitment of the FBI and our law enforcement partners to confront the opioid epidemic impacting our communities, while bringing to justice those who seek to profit from fraud or other criminal acts. Yet, the duplicitous nature of the U.S. government's prohibition on cannabis now has the DEA, putatively drug warrior number one, transparently forking over legal protections for synthetic THC, allowing the company to profit handily, while the plant's scheduling makes criminals out of patients legitimately using cannabis for medical reasons. It is this skirting of legality, deceptive marketing, duplicitous propaganda, offensively direct assistance from the government, and flagrant criminality that make INZI's Therapeutics the exact corporate thug paragon of a moneyed interest, authoritarian police state. If you need a case to abolish the state, look no further than its dealings with the cannabis plant. Whether or not you are a user, the miraculously beneficial weed has flourished for centuries unmolested by self-important empires, until fiat currency made it a threat to unscrupulous profiteers. The state's farcical war on cannabis has effectively ended for most Americans, and it's well overdue the government catch up with the rest of us.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheep up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County COPWATCH with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me, and I'm sick of it. So I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.